Okay, Unit 9, Lecture 1. This is going to be a big group. I'm not sure exactly where we'll do the split here. Before we get into World War II, which is Unit 9, I want to do a quick review of U.S. foreign policy. Okay, I'm starting George Washington. Remember George Washington's farewell address. He said, stay out of foreign affairs. We're going to begin our pattern of isolationism back there with George Washington, all right? So we're going to call it isolationism, George Washington, right? Then we have President Monroe, who is going to warn with the Monroe Doctrine, European powers stay out of the Western Hemisphere, okay, that it's our area. All right, we're different over here. We have democracies, republics, and their monarchies over there. All right, then we have the age of American imperialism, Teddy Roosevelt, the Roosevelt corollary, right, which now he has the mic to back it up. We're going to become the policeman of the Western Hemisphere. After that, we're going to go into a period of neutrality, right, that leads up to World War I. Then World War I will drag us into foreign affairs. After World War I, we go back to that period of normalcy, or try to go back to normalcy, where we'll go with isolationism again, neutrality, stay out of foreign affairs. All right, and then eventually we'll be in World War II. Okay, we'll be dragged out of our neutrality into World War II, and after World War II, we'll be discussing about 45, 50 years of what we'll call containment of communism. All right, so that's our foreign policy in a nutshell. I'm going to throw up the whiteboard. All right, it's got a lot on there. The names up top are the leaders of the different nations in World War II. You should know them, all right? The two sides I don't have up there are the Allies, us and our friends, versus the Axis, A-X-I-S powers, all right? You should be aware of that. So Roosevelt and Truman are both presidents of the United States. Franklin Delano Roosevelt will die before the war is over, and Harry S. Truman will take over for him. Winston Churchill will be the leader of Great Britain. Joseph Stalin is the leader of the communist USSR. Hitler will be the dictator, fascist dictator, Nazi of Germany. Mussolini will be in charge of Italy, and Hirohito and Tojo are in charge of Japan. Okay, so those are the leaders. Know them and know the countries they belong to. After World War I, there is going to be some attempt to avoid war, limit weapons, and establish freedom of the seas, despite Wilson's failure to get his 14 points out there. And an example of this that I want you to know is the Kellogg-Briand Pact right there, which can be seen as a poor attempt by the U.S. To be a world leader after it had refused to join the League of Nations. Okay. As we're getting up to World War II in the 1920s, Benito Mussolini will take control with his fascists of Italy. Remind me when we get into class tomorrow, the next day, to put fascists and Nazi on the board. We'll discuss them a little bit, all right, and how they differ and what they stand for. All right, so Mussolini gains control of Italy in the 1920s. 1930s, Hitler will take control of Germany, all right, and begin his campaign of terror and expansion. First moving troops into the Rhineland, then taking Austria in the Anschluss, all right, and then the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia. Europe is going to initially try to appease Hitler, all right, give in to his demands in the hopes of avoiding war. All right. The U.S. at this time is going to pass a series of laws called Neutrality Acts. All right. All of the democracies and the U.S., democracies of Europe and the U.S., remember the horrors of World War I. And they want to avoid war at what will seem like any cost. All right. And we certainly look like we want to stay out of European affairs. All right, so I want you to know the war is going to begin in Europe in 1939 with Hitler's invasion of Poland. It's going to start off with a lightning war, the Blitzkrieg. Know that, be aware of the term. All right, when he goes into Poland, the Soviets are going to come in from the other side, from the east of Poland, and invade the Baltic countries also, of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And the Soviets and the Germans had signed a non-aggression pact, and they had split Poland between them. And it was kind of surprising, because the fascists and the communists were political enemies, and they really hated each other. And when Hitler spoke of a Lebensraum, a living space, everyone thought he was talking to the USSR, all right, or talking about the USSR. That's the end of Lecture 9.1. I'll pick up in just a second with 9.2.